Hi, this is Brett, and this is my student choice activity for analysis, playing the djembe drum, a drum from Africa. And so I'm going to be talking about this in light of all the points and steps of, of this assignment. So, it says to cover all 7 categories of the occupation-based analysis form, activities of daily living. I got out of bed, I ate, I did those necessary things we need to do just for everyday life, instrumental activities of daily living. I guess right now I'm doing my homework, which is related to education under that, category of occupation. I'm a student in occupational therapy work. Again, it feels like that kind of coincides with education now, because education pretty much is my work right now, because of the quarantine I have no other jobs except helping friends sometimes do some work, play. So now I'm going to go to what I'm going to be doing. And the djembe drum, I think it falls more in the category of leisure than it does play. But it can be play. But this would be kind of like an personal educational type leisure time that you're doing. And certainly it also involves social participation. When Lisa and I play together, we are socially engaged. So what mental functions does this involve? Or wait a minute, talk about the meaning and value of this activity, because I'm looking at the rubric here. And the meaning and the value of this activity is that it does kind of feed the soul, but it also, I think, engages different parts of your brain. So you're actively using your brain, but you're also, the sound of playing it can be very therapeutic, just listening to the sound of you playing, but the fact that you're having to sometimes multitask, use different parts of your brain. At least that's how I feel sometimes. So yeah, it's an outlet. It's an artistic musical outlet that I think can definitely fill a need. And so we're going to talk about body functions now. So looking at the body functions here, I would say that, you need to know concept formation into understanding, just like the music sheets here, which I'll talk about later, just understanding that you have to play play a rhythm, a certain song, a certain piece, and how to do that. Metacognition, again, I see that as me using all my brain functions in different functions of my brain. Executive function, definitely your judgment in listening to a beat and listening to how you hit it. Executive function is definitely imperative for this cognitive flexibility. And I found that I needed to be flexible in using my brain or thinking in different ways while I'm playing this. I've been doing this for several months now, and I find that I'm using different parts of my brain. It requires some flexibility, especially if you're playing with someone and they may play a different tune that you're playing, but you have to keep up with your tune. You have to be flexible. Sustained attention, I see that. You really have to really focus on what you're playing. You can't think about your problems of life if you want to, especially if you're playing along with someone else. You really got to focus on what you're playing. But I think there can be divided attention too. If I notice a friend is playing something a little different than what I'm playing, I can be aware of that, but I also need to really be focused on what I need to be playing. Short-term memory would come into play as you're learning how to play things new for the first time. Working memory or long-term memory, as I see it, like a lot of it's working memory when you're just learning. It's working memory, but as you practice more and play more, it becomes long-term memory. Discrimination of senses, definitely auditory is a big part of playing a musical instrument, just to be able to hear what you're playing. With the drums, tactile too, because you're gonna sometimes hit the drum in a certain way, like this, or maybe like that, or maybe like that. To where you just kind of like that. Different ways of hitting the drum. Visual, yes, visual. with these music sheets here, different colors on how you're supposed to strike the hand in a certain way, different colors, you know. The red is the bass hand, the green is the tone, which comes to the side, and the purple is the tap, which fingers open. So, so different ways to do that with the tactile senses, and like I said, reading the different colors on how to play, that involves visual senses, olfactory. I don't really, I don't really smell anything. Proprioception, that's being aware of where I am in space, definitely aware of reality, where I am in the moment, what I'm playing in the moment. Logical, coherent thought, knowing that there's a pattern to this, and that I have to think according to this pattern and try to reproduce according to this pattern. Regulation and range of motion, appropriateness of motion, just got to have the right emotion to be able to play this. Obviously, you can be in a down mood, you can be in an up mood, but you just got to be at least emotionally able to play it. Body image doesn't play factors. Self-concept can really improve. As you begin to master something new and find that you can play a musical instrument you've never played before, definitely that'll boost your self-concept. Awareness and alertness, orientation to self, I kind of know where I am in space, and again, this can really help with that. Orientation to place, orientation to time, orientation to others. When I play with my friend Lisa, or if I were to play drums with someone else, that would be important. Emotional stability, yes, I think you have to have some of that to be able to consistently play. Openness to experience, yes, just learning how to play this thing in new and different ways. Self-expression, definitely a big part of this. You need the motivation to want to come and play. Those are the main ones that I see affected there. As we look at sensory, visual acuity, again, being able to read the music sheet, sometimes looking at my drum, where to hit the drum, sound detection, very important in playing the drum and knowing what you're doing. Balance, obviously, you need to be able to balance myself on this stool. Moving against gravity, again, not a big area, it's just something we do. Smell function, not really a big factor here in this activity, nor is taste function. It's good to be aware of where my body is in space, I guess. That proprioception is important. Awareness of touch, how I hit the band, how I just comfortable striking it in certain ways, on this drum thing. And I think those are the main things that I see, as far as, I don't see really thermal awareness or localizing pain as factors in this. Then we've got neuromuscular joint mobility. Definitely need good mobility with your hands and joints to be able to play a good rhythm. Strength, I don't think you need a lot of strength, but obviously you need enough strength to be able to pick the drum up and hit the drum. Muscle tone, again, muscle tone will contribute in how you're able to control your muscles to hit the drum. Muscle endurance, again, not a big factor for me, but obviously there's even some amount of that is obviously needed just to continually play a while. Stretch reflex, ATNR, STNR, writing and supporting reactions. Eye-hand coordination is really good to know, just where you're striking the drum, where you're hitting it. But sometimes you can just do it without even looking at the drum itself. Eye-foot coordination, again, maybe if I'm standing and I'm playing it, that would be important. Bilateral integration, just really knowing, both of my eyes, using bilateral. Actually, I'm squeezing this with my legs here. I'm playing different rhythms with with my two hands. So I see that working, crossing the midline. Yeah, when I hit here, I'll definitely be crossing the midline. Fine motor control again, necessary to be able to play, strike the drum in certain areas. Gross motor control, obviously, you're not going to have fine motor control without gross motor control, ocular motor control, where my eyes go. That's important to be able to drift from here to here with no problem at all, so I can read the music. So that's also a factor. Blood pressure, heart rate, yes, need these things to live. Respiratory rate, again, need this to live. Voice functions, I don't usually say anything when I'm doing this. Obviously a factor in me doing this presentation though. So anyway, we're going to look at other issues. The other issues I don't really see as much of a function. Skin functions, I will feel the strike on my skin as I play it. So, but the other functions I don't see. So let's look at the activity demands. We have, you can see this room is kind of spacious to play, but even if I didn't have enough space, I could play it in a small space. Just basically enough for me to just sit here in a chair, I don't know, give myself maybe 2 feet space to be able to play. Primarily, well, a few supplies, I guess. You have the drum itself, and then you have some music sheets, some music on how to play the drum that is color coded. Equipment, well, I think of equipment. I guess I would say this is my equipment because I don't really see any materials or supplies that I'm going to be throwing away as I do this. So pretty much the drum, it's my equipment or my tool. Well, I would say no, more of the equipment would be this table that I'm putting these papers on, and I would say the drum itself would be the tool. The space demands, again, I would just say probably give yourself around 2 feet. Lighting, good lighting is good, yes, so I can read the music. Noise, don't want to have other loud music on or anything like that while I'm playing. Just want to have my music that I can focus on in play. Ventilation's not really a big issue too, but let's go through the sequencing and timing of this. So first of all, you would have to get a djembe drum. You can get these on Amazon or at your local music store. And then obviously having a teacher like Lisa help me go through this process of learning. So that's important. So, but I would say a third thing that we might need also, the third thing we might need also is some good music to play, and so you have a music sheet here that is set up, like I said, where the red is what you would use for the bass line, which would be there. And then the green is what you would use for the tone, which is here, kind of to the side. And if it's underlined, it means you hit to the right. And if it's not underlined, it means you hit to the left. And then, the purple is tap, which is open hand. So underlined to the right, and then not underlined to the left. So that would be another part of the sequence, is just knowing what the music says and learning to interpret that. So then once you look at the music, then you can begin to learn to play the drum according to how it is coded on the music. And that's essentially the steps, and you just keep practicing and practicing until you get better at it. So that is really how to do this. How much time do I got?
30.
30 seconds, okay. So I'll finish this now, and then it'll be a wrap, and I'll fill out the report. So that is my presentation on my student choice activity. It obviously involves a lot of different factors in our body.